Hey folks, my name is Chris Wessel, and today we're going to be tying the Orange 1 bomber on an Ahrex bomber hook. Alright, so we're going to get into it, starting off with our iron, of course. I'm using the HR418, or as you may know, the new bomber hook from Ahrex. I've had a chance to tie a couple bombers with these previous to this video, and man, what a cool shape hook. Super sharp. Awesome. These are size 4. I wonder if I should have used different jaws. No, we're good. They got a, yeah, just a really cool bend in them, and the gap is super big. I like the point. It's kind of up on a curve, which is really cool. Anyway, check them out if you get a chance. So we're going to start with some white thread. Using white thread on this because it doesn't really show through. The eye of this hook is really unique too, and I'm not used to it. But it's kind of wider. Just a really like unique hook. I like it. Just going to do a traditional bomber today, so we're using some orange calf tail for the wings. And I like to stack that. Number 4 seems to be a bit shorter than your Daiichi or your partridge. It's not a big deal at all. It's something to keep in mind. And I always cut these on a taper. If you've seen previous videos, you know how I do and why I do it. I guess if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, I do that because this piece will also be cut on a slant, so when they meet, there won't be this, shouldn't be an awkward bump in the middle. Not saying that there wouldn't be, because that's just how it goes sometimes. I love these bombers. So visible on the water. And when everybody else is using natural and you want something different, this really looks right back up at you when you open your fly box. Just picked out a few of the under fur stragglers there. And I always measure that up on my front. And just check to make sure it did line up well with the front, which looks pretty good. And this is where we cut the angle in the second part. And just tie that in. If you can hear that panting in the background, I swear it's not me or my spouse. Our dog's in the back, and he hates when we're doing these tying videos. So I usually snip off a little bit of a smaller clump of deer hair for the back. And that's just because I like to come down to a nice taper in the back when I got it tied in, or when I trim it. And then you can start moving up to a little bit of a larger clump. And I like to trim this off there just because it's Almost seems like it helps the deer hair spin a little bit better. There's not a bunch of extra stuff. Now, I did make a mistake here. I don't have tape with me, and I usually tape this front down, so this may end up being a bit rough. And you can see that the color kind of fades as it gets down to the root of the fibers. So keeping that in mind, I try to tie in a little bit further up when it's like that, just because you want to get as much of that rich color in the body of your fly as possible. Oh, I really don't like tying without tape. There's now a helicopter circling around my house, if you can hear that. It's never a dull moment when I'm trying to do this stuff. And just compressing. Oh man, I need some tape. Yeah. You will not see how long this takes for me to get the tape, but I am going to grab some. All right. Sorry for that, folks. Sometimes when you're switching from your normal tying space to somewhere where you're going to be filming tying, you forget a few things. Most times you can deal without it. This time was not one of those times. So back to it. And we just kind of try to push that back as much as possible. I do anyway. I like a really tight bomber. Some people actually prefer them looser, and you know, if that's your thing, then don't compress it. Yeah, that'll put us right about where we want to be. So we're just going to tie this thread off around the eye. And we're going to cut that off actually, because it just gets in the way when you're trimming. I'm just going to put something to catch the trimmings here. Oh, this helicopter is driving me nuts. So I do a quick trim to start off. That's just to get rid of all the excess fur hanging out there, and then you can kind of really see where you're going with this. So you start in the front or back, doesn't really matter, but I like to get my taper started and then trim the rest of the body. You can always pick up the loose hairs later on when you're doing your finishing touches. And I'm just cutting this down at a taper, that's all. Just a little bit at a time as you're turning. If you have a rotating vise, of course. If not, you may actually prefer to do this in hand, which a lot of guys do, and girls. I haven't had much time on these Ahrex hooks yet, so even now I'm kind of seeing that maybe where I normally would stop at that point, I think I'd extend it back and go a little bit forward just to get an extra little bit of body on there. And I think we're just about done there. All right. So we need to get our thread back on there. And I've been tying in my hackle differently lately too. I've been tying it in from the front. So not sure, jury's still out on it. But anybody who knows me knows I've been pretty much searching for a, sorry, I'm just picking up a couple stragglers here. Been searching for a way to do bombers, and I keep finding something and then I'll be like, you know, I'll try something else. So I really just got to stick with something. I'm using Rooster saddle. This one's whiting. And I'm just gonna get my wing tied up, and I basically do a figure eight. It kind of gives you your wing a nice tilt. And I tie in here, and I just fold that stem over so it'll hold it in nice. You can cut off the extra, be careful. I'm gonna put quite a few wraps on this. I also like this method because it seems like you're getting a really good taper with the hackle. All right, so another thing I'm doing is coming in and wrapping over, which I normally don't like doing, but it's been working out for me lately, so it's not really messing with my body shape at all. Cut off the extra here. And instead of coming back up over, taking a chance to kind of screwing up your body a bit, I've been trying just tying in half hitches down in the back here. Make sure you don't trap any of those fibers. Just something different to try, really, more than anything. And tie in another one. That's not going anywhere. All right, so, oh my God, that looks terrible on your guys' side. You should have told me. So all those ones that I trapped in there, you can just pull them out. There's no big deal. All right, and now I want to finish this off. This pattern, we call it the orange one here. I've only seen it a couple times. I've seen it on the mainland called Orange Crush. I don't really care what it's called. And this is glow braid that I'm using. I'm just putting in a nice little orange head. It's not my best tie. Don't judge. There's people out there right now saying, I knew he was doing that wrong. So I'm just going to, I I can just hand whip finish it. Ah, there we go. So I'm still getting accustomed to these Arex bomber hooks. Yeah, you can really see the thread on your guys' side. Couldn't see it that well on my side, as you can see. Great little hooks. If you get a chance, pick them up. Atlantic Rivers Outfitting has them in stock, I believe. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you very much for popping by, and I look forward to seeing you next time.